Welcome to an MREA Monday. It's your friend James Shaw inside of Pivot Shift Ahead, and I'm glad you're here. We've been doing this every Monday this month. We're going to keep it going throughout the rest of the year and have a great conversation. Now, last week we did MREA Monday every day because we looked at the 9 ways an MREA thinks, and we covered almost all of them except one. And that's the one that I want to cover today for you, and I think you'll like it. Gary teaches us that we've really got to kind of think with a big why, and he covers it in depth. And this is a exercise that you can do that's actually in MREA on page 77. And I'm going to walk through some stuff around big why here in just a minute. But ultimately, Gary says, our big why is really about being the best that we can be. But I have found that this conversation around a big why can be challenging. Put it in the chat. Has anybody ever struggled with the big why and what it's supposed to mean? I'm just curious. Put it in the chat. Yeah, I see a handful of you. I think part of it is we teach it wrong. I think when you come in and learn about a big why and how that's going to motivate you to go do the things you're supposed to do in your business every day, we think it's got to be some earth-changing, crazy, wild thing, like you're going to build a school in a random country where little boys and girls can learn to become astronauts. And that might be your big why. We have people on here who have big whys like that. I think about Z, who wants to build health clinics in Sierra Leone. Like, stuff like that is powerful and great, but it may not be your big why. And then we go and we look at other people's big whys and go, well, why isn't mine like that? And I just got to tell us, sometimes our big why in the moment changes. Now, I've told this story many times, but my 30th birthday is when I moved from Chicago to Tampa to be the assistant team leader in the South Tampa Market Center. And it was on my 30th birthday that my dad came and met me on the south side of Chicago. I had just gotten divorced. I'd been divorced for a few months, and we loaded up both of my things inside the little Penske truck. And the Penske truck we had gone to pick up to move down. We were going to drive to Tallahassee, pick up my sister who had just graduated from Florida State, move her to Orlando. She's got a job at the Orlando Magic, and I was coming to Tampa. And so we go to pick up the Penske truck, and my dad, we got there, and you need a credit card to pay for your Penske truck. And I'm like, Dad, I don't have a credit card. Can you pick it up for me? Because they won't take a debit card. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he does that. And then we drive the truck, and we go, like I said, put both the things in the truck, and then we drive down a while. And have you ever gotten one of these trucks? They get about a half a mile to the gallon. And so we go down, we have to go get gas, and we pull off, and Dad puts the card in to get the gas. And we start pumping the gas in, and I'm just watching it tick up and 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 tick up. And I don't know, it was like, and this is, again, I'm 47. This is 17 years ago. It cost more to put, like, it's a huge gas tank. The amount of gas it needed and what that cost was more money than I had. Like, I remember standing there at that gas pump as my dad was filling the gas tank and realizing I didn't even have enough money to put a tank of gas in that Penske truck. I had $86 to my name on my 30th birthday, 17 years ago. And I had a moment there going, this has got to change. I've got to do something different. And at that time, my big why was, I want to put my debit card in the gas pump and hope there's enough money to put gas in my car. Like, that was my big why then. And that worked. That worked to be able to move me forward. Now that's not my big why anymore. I can put gas in my car. Actually, I don't put gas in my car. I have an electric car. I plug it in at my house. But I can afford to put gas in my car now if I need to. My big why changes over time. And I think it's important that we recognize that your big why can change over time. That if you're struggling with the big why, because Gary talks about it, he says that you should live every day with purpose, and how far could you really go, and is your motivation the kind of motivation that's going to take us to your highest level? And he gives you an exercise to figure it out. And he goes on and says, business goals are part of a larger personal strategy designed to push me and make me grow. But again, 17 years ago, none of that mattered to me. I just wanted to put gas in my car. So I think we have to recognize that our perspective around a big why will change. And if you're struggling with coming up with what your big why is, then ask yourself this question: what needs to happen this year for me to feel like I've won? What needs to happen for me by the end of this year to feel like I've won? And my guess would be, it's not about money. In fact, Gary tells us that, page number 75. You have to be careful. This is a quote. You have to be careful when you're trying to discover your big why. We hope that what motivates you isn't just money or a comfortable retirement. The truth is, you can achieve those things faster than you think. And then if you're not careful, you'll be left with a lot of life to live and little reason to live it. We hope you're getting in touch with what truly motivates you. This is about being the best you can be. It is about that, but it's also about knowing in the moment what's going to drive you. So what I would encourage you to do is do the exercise on page 77 of MREA. He walks you through it starting on page number 72. But if you go read 72 to like 79 of the book, I don't know, 6 or 7 pages, and you walk through this big why exercise, I think some pretty powerful things will unlock. But I also want you to know it's not forever. It's not permanent. It might be a big why for the moment that changes over time. Tomorrow morning on the pre-show, we're going to get your ahas from doing the exercise that he has us do on page 77. But I want to open up now and have an honest conversation about a big why and what it means and how it impacts you. Shannon, you want to go first? Good morning.
Good morning. And I actually went through exactly what you stated. So I'm so glad that you said that. At one point, really quickly, my big why was my children, just making sure that they were okay, that they had college savings. But then after a while, that didn't move me anymore. It didn't get me out of the bed when I didn't feel like getting out of the bed. And I felt like the most horrible parent. And then I realized that it didn't move me because I knew that they were okay, that they were more than okay. And so when I changed my big why to making sure that 3 generations down are okay, that's when that started to move me again. So I thought that was very good and important to know that your big why does change. And when you accomplish what you put out to do, then it's going to change, and that's okay.
Shannon, it's a great share. I meet people all the time who tell me my family comes first. My family comes first, and it should. Your family should come among the first things, the most important things to you. But what would be interesting is they usually tell me that in the context as to why they didn't do a necessary thing in their business. So back when I was a bold coach and you're making 100 contacts a week and doing all these things, people would come in and they go, James, I didn't make my contacts this week because my family comes first. And I go, I understand what's going on. Is everyone okay? Everyone's fine. There's no medical emergency, but you know what? My kid needed to be dropped off here and picked up there. And it was just a busy week. And gosh darn it, my family's going to come first. And so I didn't get my contacts in this week. And you know what I'd say? And so if your family truly comes first, then you get your contacts in. Because your contacts, which lead to appointments, determine the quality of life that you're able to provide for your family. So if your family truly does come first, then you'll get the business stuff done. Thank you. It's a great share. Mignon, good morning to you. Mignon, are you there? All right, no worries. Let's go to Gary. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, James. Thanks for the chance to speak. Your story reminds me of a story frequently told by Jim Rohn. And Jim used to talk about when he was in his early 20s, one day the doorbell rang and it was a young girl selling Girl Scout cookies. And Jim only had a few dollars to his name at that time. And he said to her, oh, I already bought. Thank you very much, but I already bought my cookies. And after he shut the door and the girl went away, he just started crying because he realized he was at a place in his life where he had to lie because he didn't have the resources available. And it used that as a impetus to change his life. He said, I'll never again be in the circumstance that I have to say no to somebody. This will be a non-negotiable for me. I'm going to make things happen to such an extent that I'm in a position to be able to do what I need to do as I desire to do it. And I thought that was very inspirational. And it kind of changed things for me as well, because I said, you know what? I don't ever want to be in that position either, where I don't have enough money for whatever it is that I'm looking to do. So I just started doing things differently, and it's all about focus and putting your mind to it. So thank you for sharing.
That's what it is. Once you've made the decision, then the rest of the process is pretty easy because you're just keeping things in alignment with the decision that you've made.
Yep.
And you know, you often hear people who've made a success out of themselves who have hit rock bottom. Look, that was rock bottom for me. $86. I hadn't filed a tax return that year, and because I couldn't pay it. I'm not paying the mortgage on my house. The tenant is paying me rent, and I'm using that to pay my bills and all sorts of crazy things going on 17 years ago. But you know what? It's worked out. Like in the moment, it felt really hard, but it's worked out. But people who hit rock bottom often make a success out of themselves because hitting rock bottom is hard. If you're at rock bottom right now, congratulations, because now you can move somewhere, but just make the decision and know that while it feels like forever, it isn't. Thank you. Dan Tamarkin, you're next. Good morning.
Good morning. So this topic is really important to me, James. Before you can get to something of significance, you have to sometimes focus on survival. And James, when you were with $86 in your account, survival was probably paramount, and that became a big why. I mean, just to have enough money to meet your needs, and taking this concept of your big why and then tying it into the business plan, and then monetizing your big why, I came up with a slightly different model from what was in the book, and really it started by just kind of understanding first, what does it take for you to survive? And that's the first thing, because if you don't have what it takes to survive, it becomes a big why really fast, really quick. And that's the right big why for you. It's once you have those basics, then you can start thinking about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You take care of the basics, you can start thinking more aspirationally. You can start thinking about things that you want for yourself, things that you want for others, and that's becomes really powerful. And then ultimately things that you want for your future. Those big dreams, and it's a process to get from one step to the other. And that monetization of your big why, and looking at it in those terms, in terms of what does it cost for you to live today? What are things that you want to do for yourself? What are things that you want to do for others and your loved ones? And then what do you want to do for significance, maybe for your long-term future, or to make a significant impact? Has helped me personally get clarity, and also be able to put some dollars to that so that I can build a business plan to help monetize what it's going to take to live a life worth living.
Yeah, that's the point. Figure out what's important to you right now. What needs to happen for you to win? What needs to happen for you to feel like it was worth it? All of those things, and then allows you to monetize that. And then Gary goes on. He says, page 76, I'm a strong advocate for placing personal growth ahead of any big why you have. He said, it's simply that powerful. High achievers know this. They know that when they decide to be their best and place that at the forefront of all other whys, it will pull the rest in its wake. So those of you looking at it going, well, what am I supposed to pick? Just pick being your best and allow it to fall into place, but do the exercise in the book. Rhett, good morning.
Hey, good morning, James. This is something I'm pretty passionate about. And I've got notes this morning. So one of my books will lead off with my adoption story. And if many of you don't know about that background, my dad got me at a truck stop in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's a whole lot more to that story. That's why I'm so passionate about the big why here. I just want to say that my law enforcement career could have never allowed me to give back the way that I want to, and to accomplish my big why multiple times over, which is to pay for adoption and foster care fees for other families. I now have the money to support young men at a local, I'm not sure how it would be described, but it's called My Friend's House, which supplies living quarters for young men who are in foster care, especially when they age out. And this conversation today will reignite that passion and purpose, because the more that I do for others, the better life I'm blessed to live, and know that I have helped other children to live a life, and to have parents that raised me to have the same. And for that, I'll forever be grateful for. Thank you, James.
You. Thanks, Rhett. Tennille, good morning.
Good morning. I was listening to Think Like a Monk this morning by Jay Shetty, and he was actually talking about big why, and the meaning behind your big why, like what is going to give you passion and help you serve others. It's all about serving others. It's not just about you getting rich and stockpiling that money, but how can you give back? And I definitely have thought about this through the years, and it does change, like you said, James. It totally changes from year to year. Like 2 years ago and a year ago, my big why was supporting my family, since Sean was looking for a job, and now he's got the job. So it's like the legacy and wealth building, but giving back ultimately is a goal. Oh, and he also mentioned do the work. And I was like, did Gary Keller read this book? Because Gary at Mega Camp was talking about do the work. So we have our big why, and we've got to do the work to make it come to fruition.
Yeah, well, in MREA talks about that a ton too, right? That's what we covered all last week. Once you've come up with all the fuzzy, warm things about what the business is going to be about, then you have to go get to work. You got to do the work too. Tennille, thank you. All right, Julie, you get the last one. Everybody else got your hand up. We're going to continue this tomorrow morning on the pre-show, so you'll be able to contribute tomorrow morning at 7:30. Julie, you get the last word. Good morning.
Good morning, James. I was just going to say, if you're not sure about your big why, it's okay. And definitely go through the exercise. My suggestion would be, for years, James, as a team leader, I wasn't sure of my why, but I made one up because everyone always asks, what's your why? Okay, great. Here it is. And it was mainly because I hadn't done the work of digging deep. I was at a team leader mastermind, and this guy, we were just about to go on break. He asked me what the why was. I shared. He's like, no. And I was in the top team leader mastermind at the time. He's like, that's not your why. And I was like, what are you? Yeah, it is. Sorry, break, gotta go. And he's like, starts asking me questions. I started tearing up. And then thank God Patrick Woods came back in. I'm like, thank God, session's going back. He's like, Patrick, I'm gonna step outside with Julie. We'll be back in about a half hour. Took me out to the hallway, literally dug. And it was honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'll still tear up about my why. Like, so if you're one of them that you're like, okay, I'm not really sure, but like I kind of have a phrase, ask someone to go through those pages with you, because it will ultimately change your life.
That is great. And I encourage you to go through these pages this week and go through the Big Why section today, sometime. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow morning on the pre-show for it to help you. Julie, thank you for sharing that. And thanks to whomever that was that called you out and then took the time to sit with you. That's pretty cool. Thank you for being here today. A reminder that in about a month, we're doing our Inspire Summit. I'm dropping the link in the chat. We extended early bird pricing through this Friday. So if you want to be able to get in, mainly because I set up the ticket sales wrong in the system. So they're going to be through this Friday. So $50 if you're not an Inspire member. Inspire members are $25. And we'll walk through some stuff like this. Like we're going to hear Meg Dady's story. You want to talk about someone who figured out her why and got it done. We're going to hear from Meg Dady in that. And then we're going to go break down piece by piece, bit by bit on how people are running their business with strategies that work, because I think there is no one system that is correct. It's all of our systems work, and how does it work best for you? That's what MREA is a compilation of other people's systems. So we're going to talk about that September 18th. I put the link in the chat if you'd like to join us. Otherwise, we're back here tomorrow. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. We'll see you Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.